I am so nerding out back here, and that's a good thing, with Pearl, Colleen, and Belle from ConDor Con, 50 years of Star Trek, and that is happening. This convention's happening actually here in San Diego, February 26th through the 28th at the Town & Country Hotel, Mission Valley. So 50 years of Star Trek. This is fascinating, and I want you guys to point out some of the gadgets that we have up here as we discuss this convention and what we can expect to see. You showed me this off camera. This is from Star Trek, the actual communicator they would use.
Yes. That's,
like when they're down from the ship and, you know, Scotty beam me up, that kind of thing. That's
what inspired the telephones we have now.
I love this. Look at this. All right. And then what do we have here? This is the actual, what they would have used in Star Trek as well for the medical devices?
Right. No, this is the medical device here. This is the tricorder, which would be used for scientific, you know, scanning and finding out what's on the planet when they're down on the planet. And this one is actually made by a fan versus this one's a toy. So you can see back in the day, the fans were really good about putting out quality goods.
Okay, now we're going to go over some of these gadgets here as well. Look at this Jurassic Park, the Barbasol can there from the island. But what can folks expect to see when they go there to the convention?
We will have, as our guests of honor, we have David Gerald, who created the episode Trouble with Tribbles, wrote that, and D.C. Fontana, who was a script editor for the original Star Trek, and John and Bijo Trimble, who created Star Trek fandom. They organized the first Save Star Trek campaign. They got the fans talking to each other, and we are the result of what they did back in the 60s.
So now I realize it is 50 years of Star Trek, and I know that that's part of the convention, the main theme, but it's not just about Star Trek. This is science fiction overall, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Science fiction, fantasy, and some horror in there.
Okay, so I walk into the convention, let's say February 26th, 27th, or 28th, and what am I going to expect? I walk through the doors, there's going to be vendors, there's going to be gadgets. Can you buy any of this?
Some vendors might have some props on sale, but it all depends on what you're looking for. There will be costumes, there will be props, there will be jewelry, books. It's basically a mishmash of any kind of fandom you can think of within there, and that includes the art show as well.
All right, what are you wearing here? And then explain what I'm wearing.
This is actually a screen-used costume. It is Bo Bridges' costume from Stargate SG-1, the last two seasons.
Yeah, okay.
So it's actually a screen-used prop, and the vest that you're wearing is actually Mitchell's vest from the last two seasons, and it's also screen-used as well.
Did he actually? He used this on camera.
Yes, this is all screen-used, and he was the one that replaced Richard Dean Anderson, who was the original Jack O'Neill for the series, and MacGyver, and Dr. Jeff Weber from General Hospital.
You don't ever get rid of MacGyver, ever.
And then we have a Zach Nicotel, which is the alien weapon that was used by the Jaffa.
All right, I love this. So this is, you can geek out, and I mean that in a good way, at ConDor Con, 50 years of Star Trek. What are you wearing?
I'm wearing a red skirt. It's a joke on the idea that all the red shirts die. So I made a 50s type dress for security.
All right, and who are you in Star Trek?
I'm Yeoman Rand, or a red shirt, and this is a screen-accurate dress made from one of the books that we're probably going to be for sale, which is the Star Trek Technical Manual. And there are going to be panels about costuming where we can talk about how it is to make your own costumes, how you can buy costumes and make them better. There's going to be panels about writing. There's going to be panels about art. There's going to be so much great stuff. It's a great place to bring kids because we have Hogwarts.
I was just going to say that's Harry Potter right there.
We got gaming. We got an art show. We have amazing stuff, and it's just a really great place to start your adventures in fandom.
I just wish that I knew Klingon. Am I even close? Hak, tak, barak, tak. Am I close at all, ladies? At all?
I don't speak Klingon. But one of our special guests is a con linguist, David Peterson, and he wrote the languages for Game of Thrones and Defiance.
Ooh,
He's amazing. He's amazing.
So
That's an amazing panel.
You come and learn about how they create the languages.
All right, Town & Country, Mission Valley. It's going on the 26th to the 28th. Have I missed anything, ladies? Are we good? Are we ready to geek out together?
All fan run. It's much more calm. It's all fan run. It's much more calm than Comic-Con. It's somewhere to have a really good time and not freak out, but get to know your new fan friends.
And you know what? Thank you, ladies. And it's non-profit. I keep putting the mic up to my face as if I don't have a mic. I'm geeking out back here with all this stuff, but thank you, ladies. Again, it's ConDor Con. Check it out. Have some fun. Bring the family. It's going to be a blast. And next on San Diego Living, Kelly Gillespie gives us a look at Tina Fey's new movie, Whiskey.
Well, if you are in Mission Valley later today and happen to see people walking around in costumes, please don't be alarmed.
That's right. No need to worry. Comic-Con did not arrive early. CW6's Audra Stafford live in Mission Valley with what is going on and some of the costumes we're seeing this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, what's going on is something called ConDor Con, not Comic-Con, ConDor Con. This is San Diego's longest running sci-fi and fantasy convention, and this year they're celebrating the 50th anniversary of Star Trek in lots of ways, including this really neat museum here. I have Pearl Stickler. She is the chair of ConDor Con. And Pearl, for those who are wondering, how did you get your name?
When we were started 23 years ago, science fiction conventions were an endangered species in San Diego, and so we named ourselves after the condor, the California condor. And like them, we have made a comeback, and there are lots of conventions to attend now during the year.
And so what kinds of things can people find at ConDor Con?
We have a dealer's room with all kinds of fantasy and science fiction things you can purchase, jewelry, costume parts, novels. There are authors in there selling their works. We have an art show. We have 4 tracks of programming. We have the museum.
And speaking of that museum, we've got some pretty special items here. You've got some original film from the show.
It's from the cutting room floor. The leftovers, they were selling it in the 60s and 70s, and we would buy it and put it into little frames and do our slideshows and make films because we didn't have the internet in those days.
So cool. And then you just have these tables full of just really neat memorabilia, a lot of fan-created things, I know, like these costumes over here in the corner and even some weapons. And speaking of some super fans of Star Trek, I have a couple of them here with me right now, including the dean of the Star Trek Academy here. Is that right?
It's called the School of IDIC.
Oh, the School of IDIC. And can you explain to people what that is exactly?
Infinite diversity in infinite combinations is the wording for that. But it's several courses that were designed to put people into the world of Star Trek as if they're there. And each course is designed to make them feel like they're part of Star Trek. We had a security training course yesterday. They knew how to run, duck, and cover, and die. It's a red shirt. We had one on Klingon food. We had one on the care and tribbles. Today we have one on the superiority of the classic Trek Klingon. And also one on the joys of being assimilated by the Borg.
Wow. Lots of stuff going on here for sure, especially if you are a Star Trek fan. But Star Trek isn't the only thing going on here. They also have a big steampunk contingent. We're going to talk to them in a few minutes, and you'll see more of that coming up at 8:30. This continues. It starts at 10 a.m. today, continues until 5, just $15 to get in here at the Town and Country in Mission Valley. Susanna, David, I'll send it back to you.
Audra, you can't see us, but we're trying to jump on the bandwagon here, and we're working on our, what is this?
Live Long and Prosper, Star Trek?
Oh, I can't do it. My fingers won't go.
I know. Susanna's having a hard
You
time.
have to, right? If you're a real Trekkie, of course.
I'm the same way. Can't get those fingers together. What does that mean?
Tell them
The
to say
left side of the
hello.
brain doesn't work. All right. Thanks, Audra. Well, happening today, a chance to get your geek on months before Comic-Con.
That's right. Cedar Six's Audra Stafford is in the middle of it all in Mission Valley at the ConDor Con. Audra?
I'm here at the Town and Country in Mission Valley for ConDor Con. This is San Diego's longest running sci-fi and fantasy convention. Pretty cool. We are here in their little Star Trek museum, and there's just all sorts of cool memorabilia here. I have Pearl Stickler with the convention, and Pearl, we saw a few items earlier. What else are we seeing here?
These are toys that were put out in, I believe, the 70s by Mego. Very collectible for us kids at the time, but it's also had been supplemented by the Big Bang Theory characters.
I like it. You're geeking out on everything here. I like that. That's great.
we have a good time We have our guests of honor here this weekend, David Gerald, who wrote the episode The Trouble with Tribbles from original Trek.
Great.
Dorothy Fontana, who was the story editor for the original series. John and Bijo Trimble, who sort of created fandom and organized the first Save Star Trek campaign way back when, as just joining us, walking around, talking to people wherever they are. It's really, you get a chance to actually interact with them.
Great. So obviously a big focus this year on the 50th anniversary of Star Trek, but Star Trek isn't the only thing that's being celebrated here at ConDor Con. I have a group of steampunk folks here with me now, and please introduce yourself.
I'm Jeffrey Vaca. This is my wife, Lisa Vaca, and we will let them introduce themselves.
Hello, my name is Michael. This is Monique. And we are the Lord and Lady Quagmire.
Lord and Lady Quagmire, I like that. So for people who aren't really familiar, I mean, the outfits look super cool, but what is really behind this whole steampunk movement?
Well, steampunk is sort of a alternative history or retrofuturism. It's a world that you would have if H.G. Wells and Jules Verne and those authors had been historians rather than fiction writers.
What is it about steampunk that you guys just love and makes you want to get all dressed up and come out here and celebrate it in this way?
What's most amazing about steampunk and what it really is at its core is an aesthetic. There's fashion, there's music, there's art, there's the maker movement, there's many different things that attract many different people to it. But at its core, really all it is it's a common aesthetic. And there's many, many different ways you can describe it, but really when you see it, you know it.
Yeah. Well, very cool. Thank you for coming out and sharing this with us this morning. This convention kicks off today at 10 a.m. This is the last day. It continues until 5. Just $15 to get at the door. You cannot beat that. Susanna, David, I'll send it back to you.
3 days of the ConDor down in Mission Valley. And that
Yeah.
definition of steampunk, that was probably the best. When you see it, you know it.
Right.
You know it when you see it.
Yeah, I
It's hard to
never even
describe.
knew they existed, so learn something new every day.
27 or something.
For the umpteenth time.
Yes, exactly. Well, today, science fiction fans from all over came together in one place.
San Diego's annual ConDor Convention concluded its 2-day Star Trek-themed party at the Town and Country Hotel and Resort. The convention took root in 1993 and bases its origin with a shortage of science fiction fans here in San Diego, comparing it to the endangered condor. Since then, the convention has boomed and draws visitors in from all over the country.
ConDor is a general science fiction and fantasy convention that's held annually. We change our theme every year. This year just happens to be our Star Trek year because of the 50th anniversary coming up.
Oh, it's fun. I enjoy it. You get out and meet people like-minded that like a lot of the sci-fi and the fantasy. A few days out of the year that you can go out and have fun before you go back to the real world, working, paying taxes, and paying your bills.
If you missed this year's convention, don't worry, it'll be back next year, and it's never too early to start thinking about it.
Well, predictions of a 30...
You're watching the KUSI News at 10.
Today, science fiction fans from all over came together in one place. San Diego's annual ConDor Convention concluded its 2-day Star Trek-themed party at the Town and Country Hotel and Resort. The convention took root in 1993 and bases its origin with the shortage of science fiction fans in San Diego, comparing it to the endangered California condor. Since then, the convention has boomed and draws visitors from all over the country.
ConDor is a general science fiction and fantasy convention that's held annually. We change our theme every year. This year just happens to be our Star Trek year because of the 50th anniversary coming up.
Oh, it's fun. I enjoy it. You get out and meet people like-minded that like a lot of the sci-fi and the fantasy. A few days out of the year that you can go out and have fun before you go back to the real world, working, paying taxes, and paying your bills.
If you missed this year's convention, it's never too early to start thinking about next year.